All right, so it's 6 a.m. I just got up. Gonna get some fuel in me so that I'm gonna be more prepared for the event today. So I'm gonna have a protein shake right now, get a little bit of carbs in me. I got a few vitamins just to maximize my nutrition. And then I'm gonna get everything ready. We'll be bringing Amber to the track today, so I'm gonna get her snacks ready, and then we'll head out. Are you ready to go to the track? We're gonna go run fast? You watching for Broden? Where's Broden? All right. All right, so we're at the Apple Bowl track here in Kelowna, BC, Canada. I'm gonna be taking on a sub 6 minute mile for the first time. Really gonna try to push this hard and get down into the mid fives. I'm 231 pounds, so let's get after it and push it. All right, so we thought we'd throw this up while I'm doing my mile run. That way it's a little bit more entertaining than just watching me go around a track a bunch of times. So I wanted to talk about my training leading into this mile test, as well as my training overall that I've been doing for running across the last 10 months essentially that I've gotten into running. And then I'm also going to touch in on what I plan to do going forward. So first thing, how I got into running and some of the major details about my training across the last 10 months. You know, previously I'd been primarily a strength athlete competing at a high level for weightlifting, powerlifting, strongman, Highland Games, whatever required lifting something heavy and then moving it, doing something with it. And last year during COVID, leading up to it, I've been training for weightlifting nationals here in Canada. Super stoked, had a qualifying total, and they canceled it. And I was just left in a position where I got really frustrated, didn't know what to do anymore, and decided I needed to have a real big change, just get entirely away after so many years of just training for it and then things not falling in line appropriately with weightlifting. So I gathered my thoughts and decided, you know what, let's take up running. And I, first off got involved by just saying, okay, I'm gonna start off real easy, not push myself too hard, and just see where this goes. And that started off with me deciding to do a mile test, and I ran just over an 8-minute mile and was absolutely crushed. At the time, I could have probably done 2-3 miles and then would have been done. I have to walk most of it, honestly. I just did not have the ability from a standpoint of running endurance to do the work. And so then I knew that I needed to really change that if I wanted to improve my mile, improve the distance I could cover, etc. Because some of my goals with running were to do an ultra marathon, get a reasonable marathon time, get a quality half marathon time, and some of the shorter distances, since I thought those were things that with my lifting experience, I'd be a lot better at. So I ventured off and spent essentially the time from December up until around May, really pushing, just trying to get as much distance as possible, really accumulating as much overall volume and trying to get my body prepared for just generally running. And I did pretty good. I got up to around where I could average 40 miles a week and tolerated quite well. And then at that point I said, okay, I want to do some different challenging events from a running standpoint that are going to require me to increase my mileage speed. So then I wanted to try and see what I could do from a mile standpoint. So I then started to do some speed endurance work where I started off doing 400-meter repeats, really trying to push myself. I started off most of them being able to do around a minute 30, and then over the time that I was training up to the mile, I got my last 400 meter down to a 64 second, which is honestly pretty solid for me being a 230-pound guy. Then I transitioned about 8 weeks out to starting to do some 800-meter repeats. That way I could improve my overall distance, speed endurance, and then in the last 4 weeks leading into the mile, I started to do a few 1200-meter repeats. I tell you what, those are awful. Pushing as hard as you can for a 1200 is probably one of the more brutal events that you can do, just because, for me personally, I was able to do that in around 4 minutes, 3-4 minutes, and just the effort for that length of time and then repeating that, totally soul crushing. But it paid off. I went from that over 8-minute mile to, as you can see, a sub 6-minute mile in a pretty fast timeline. And I think that the biggest effect was that I put in a lot of time improving my overall mileage, getting my body adapted to so much running, and then pushing my speed endurance work. So, as you can see, I got a pretty solid mile time for my length of time training running, and then also for being a pretty large human being. Going forward, I want to try to get that down and break the 5-minute barrier. I think that pushing myself across the next year or so, I should be able to do that. I'm gonna take the next 3-ish months leading into 2022, and just try to really smash as much mileage as I can. I have a newborn daughter, which is obviously a little bit more challenging from a time standpoint, but she's getting to the point now where I can start putting her in a chariot and take her for some easier runs, so I'm gonna start to do that. And unfortunately, my other daughter loves going for runs, so together it's going to be able to, an opportunity to really increase my mileage. Then next year, again, I'm going to start to dig into that speed endurance work and push hard. There's been a few different hybrid challenges that are out there, like the 500-pound squat and sub 5-minute mile, the sub 5-minute mile with a 500-pound deadlift in that 5-minute time frame. I think that all of those are really exciting ones that I think I have a real opportunity to do, and I just got to continue pushing my running. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you want more in running content, let me know down in the comments. I've learned a lot over this timeline. I've spoken to a lot of high-level running coaches, a lot of other high-level runners, and just gained as much information as possible. I'm looking forward to sharing this, sharing more about how you can take your running to the next level. And if you've got any specific questions, drop them down in the comments. If you leave a like, really appreciate that, and make sure to subscribe for more content.